Hi everyone, I'm going to go over and complete the Word 2016 Module 3 step-by-step, page-by-page tutorial. This video might be rather long, and I am going to try and move as quickly as I can and explain all of the steps as clearly as I can. I am creating this video in case we don't have enough time today in class to complete it from start to finish, and that way you will have a resource to look back on. So with that being said, we are in SAM. I am going to locate the actual project. So I always like to deselect the exam and the training and only display the projects. I'll also find our section. And we are working on Word Chapter 3, so I need to locate that particular assignment link. There's Word 3 SAM. No, that's the actual final project. I want the Word 3 textbook project. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the link. Now again, the way about that I go through this looks different from you, because remember, again, I'm looking at this from a instructor teacher perspective, whereas you look at it from a student perspective. Alright, so you can see they have you go to a link into the instruction file. This will actually open up the textbook, so which is a little more cumbersome for you to follow, which is why I like to demonstrate this in class, as well as provide this video for you. So as you can see, it's opening up the textbook. So I'm just going to actually go ahead, I'm going to close that out. We will start with the start file template, and I do want to open this in Microsoft Word, so I'm going to go ahead and open this in Word. Once I know that's completed downloaded, I'm going to open up my downloaded file. Here's the file that I'm working with, and it opens up directly in Microsoft Word. So a lot of the objectives that we're going to learn today are, we're going to be working with fonts and formatting them. We're going to be introduced to the Format Painter. We're also going to work with our line and our spacing of paragraphs as well. We'll work with the aligning of paragraphs. We're introduced to tabs, working with indents, bullets and numbering, borders and shading, and then finally inserting online pictures. So there are a lot of module objectives for this particular lab. So the very first task is going to be formatting with fonts. Formatting our fonts, this is a really quick and efficient way to enhance the appearance of a document. Remember that a font is a complete set of characters. It has the same typeface or design, Carrier, Arial, Tahoma. These are some of the more common fonts, but there's several hundred other types of fonts. A way that we can change the appearance of our text is by increasing the font size, which is measured in points. So we're going to explore some of that. So this is the document that we have open. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and save this file, do a save as, and they would like me to save this. We save it differently for how they want it. We actually will just change the last name, first name. I'm going to go ahead and change this location. I want to place this file on my desktop. Alright, I just want to take a peek back at SAM, and if I scroll down here, let's see, solution file, it looks a little different. I can't remember the name of how they want you to upload this, so I can't actually look at that from my perspective. So let me see if I can come in here. Here we go. Here's a student view. Okay, I'm going to backstep here for a second and see, because this way I can show you what it looks like from your perspective, because that is fairly tough for me. So I'm switching to our section. I'm going to undo these. I'm going to locate that Word 3 textbook project. This is what it looks like for you. We hit the start button, you download this file here, and let's see, they want it with my October, so that's how we will save this file. So I'm going to do a copy, and I'm going to come back. I just copied that. I'm coming back to my save, and I'm going to save this as how Sam wants me to save this so that when I upload it, it will be accepted. Again, I'm making sure that I'm saving this to my desktop, and I'm going to hit the save button. And so now I'm ready to go. So I've saved my file. The first thing they asked me to do is zoom into 120%. So I'm going to come down here to my zoom controls, and I'm just going to hit the plus button, and I can see that I am at 120%. They asked me to scroll to get a feel for my contents. I see that I have a couple pages here. All right. And I'll scroll back up. We do a control home. Remember, control home brings me to the very top of my document. We want to select everything, so we're going to use the keyboard command, which is control plus A, and that selects my entire document. We're going to go to the font group, and I'm going to choose that font style arrow, and from here I'm going to select the Garamond font. So I'm going to have to scroll down. Alright, and it's not letting me scroll, or maybe I need to wait. There, I'm being a little impatient. It's going to be under the G's. I could type a G, but EF, here we go. This is the font that we want. So we've selected the entire document, and we're changing the entire font of the document to Garamond. We're now going to go to the font size list. Now my document is still selected. I'm going to go up to the font list of the size. I'm going to change that to a 12. I now just want to select a title. So we're going to select this title right over here, Reasons to Go. So I need to deselect, and I'm going to select the Reasons to Go October projects. So I like to select in the margin, so I've done that. And now for my fonts, I want to scroll, and I want to change this to a Trebuchet MT. So I select the fonts, and I'm going to scroll on down. If I type a T, that brings me automatically to the T's, but the first T, let's type this in, TR, and it should bring me to my, here we go, it brings me down alphabetically, and the font that I want is this one right here. That's Trebuchet MS, and I want to increase that size to 22, so I can hit my grow, or I can select 22. I also want to bold this. So I'm going to go ahead and bold that. With this still selected, I'm going to come to my font color over here, and I want to change the color to a green accent 6. So I need to hover over, and this looks like a green color, and so I will select that as my option. We're now going to select, and we're going to scroll down. We're going to select the heading that's called Animal Care Rajasthan. So I'm going to scroll down here, and I want to select just that title. The mini toolbar, notice that mini toolbar pops up as I select that, and from this mini toolbar I'm going to select Trebuchet, and because it's been recently used, it's going to be right at the top. I don't need to go search for it. So I'm going to select that. I want to also from the mini toolbar, now notice it kind of disappeared. If I click in the outside area again, it reappears. I want to change my font to a 14, and I want to bold and underline. Actually, we want to change the color to that green right there. And then I can click anywhere, and I deselect my text. They'd like me to go home, so I will do a control home, and that brings me to the top of my document. Alright, so we've worked on our first objective, which is working and formatting with fonts. Now we're going to work with the Format Painter, and the Format Painter is a really powerful word feature that allows you to copy all the format settings, apply to a selected set of text, and you can apply this to other text that you want to format in exactly the same way, and we're going to work on that right now. So the first thing we want to do is select in the first body of our paragraph. They like us to select the text, immediate application is essential. So let me look for this. here it is. Immediate application is essential. So I'm going to click and drag that information, and we're going to bold that. Notice my mini toolbar pops up. From the mini toolbar, they want me to bold this. Now, I could have gone up to my font group. I could have done that. But they're asking me to use the mini toolbar, so I'm going to use the mini toolbar. They now want me to select the entire paragraph and italicize it. So again, like to click in my margin, I could have clicked and dragged. I could have done that. I could have done a triple click, and that also would have selected the entire paragraph. So with my mini toolbar, I'm going to choose the italicize button. Next, I want to select the October projects. So let me look for the word October projects. Where is this located? Oh, it's right above, there we go. So they just want the October projects. So we select October projects, and we are going to open up the dialog box launcher because they want us to do something special. So from here, they want us to scroll down and make it a size 48, so I'll select a 48. In my font color, I'm going to choose an orange accent 2. So I think this might be it right here. There it is, an orange accent 2. And then I want to then go to my text effects button. Notice that's all the way down here at the bottom of the window. I'm going to go ahead and select on that. And from here, I want to look at the shadows. So this is, if you look at there's text effects, there's text fill and outline. I want to choose text effects, and I want to open up my options for shadow. And notice there's a category called presets. So these are predefined settings that make it much easier for us and does a lot of the thinking for us in terms of style. So from that list, we're going to choose the offset diagonal bottom right. Now, if they don't tell you where it's located, first row, first column, you need to hover over, all right? But here we got lucky, offset bottom right in the outer section, because again, this is the outer section, and this says offset bottom right, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. I need to close this out, so I'll say OK to accept that, and I'll say OK one more time, and now my settings have been applied. With the October projects still selected, I'm going to do a right click on that, and from my shortcut menu there, I want to select font, and now this opens up that font dialog box. So we just learned a shortcut. Instead of selecting and going up and clicking this button, we can always do a right click. We want to look at our advanced options here, so we select the advanced tab, and in that scale list arrow we want to click and make this 80%. So I'm going to scroll down and select 80%. I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to deselect my text. So when I deselect, I just click anywhere to get rid of that highlight. I now want to scroll on down. I want to select my subheading called Wildlife Refuge. So let's go down and see it. So I'm going to go ahead and I select Wildlife Refuge. And on my mini toolbar from that font arrow list, I'm going to select the Trebuchet MS. I want to bold. I just did a right click to activate this, so I want to bold, I want to italicize. And from the color list, I want to take that default color, that green, up. No, I don't. Actually, I want an orange. I want the orange accents 2 in my theme colors. And then they ask us to deselect. So I see that it is orange, and we italicized it. We also bold, and we changed the color. We are going to now select that Wildlife Refuge, that segment there. We're going to come up to our clipboard group, and inside the clipboard group is this tool called the Format Painter. I'm going to click that one time. I'm going to come down, and I'm going to locate this animal shelter. And notice as I do that, my cursor now turns into a paintbrush. And if I click, whoops, I deselected, so let me come back up here, select. Here is my click once on the Format Painter. I'm going to hold down my mouse and paint across. It is now painted that same exact format. Now if I want to apply this to more than one location, I need to double click. So I'm going to come up again and select what I want to paint, come up to my Format Painter, and this time I'm going to double click on it, and it's going to stay on until I turn it off. So now they would like me to scroll down, and they want me to paint over the Microloans Inca Highlands. So I'm going to click and drag, and notice my paintbrush is still on. I'm going to scroll down, and now I'm going to paint over Disaster Relief Nepal. Notice that the button is still turned on. Okay, it's like an on-off switch, and it's currently on. One more I need to do. I'm going to scroll down and do the Ecological Farming Province. And we want to now turn off our Format Painter. So I come back over here, I click it once, and now I turn it off. So you notice as I look at the Format Painter, it is now turned off. Okay, so let's go ahead and save what we've done so far. Now we're going to work with line and paragraph spacing. Working with line and paragraph spacing, we're increasing the amount of space that we have between our lines. It may intentionally want to add more white space in our document, and so it makes it easier for us to read. You can also improve the appearance by adding space or before and after paragraphs. So again, let's go to the top of our document. We're going to do a Control Home. And I want to turn on my Show High button. So remember that is located on the Home ribbon in the Paragraph group, and this is the tool that turns that on. We want to take our cursor, take the insertion point to the italicized paragraph that's under the title, and then we are going to click the line and paragraph list arrow. So I am taking my insertion point in the italicized under the title. So I just click anywhere in that paragraph. I'm going to come up to the paragraph and line spacing tool, and I want to look at my options here. And here I want to change the spacing of this paragraph to 1.15. And as I do that, let me go back to where it currently was. I'm changing it to 1.15, and we see that the entire paragraph changes to that new formatting. We're now going to scroll down and select, there's a 5-line list that begins with project dates, cost. So let me scroll down. Here it is right here. We're going to select all 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's select all 5 of those lines. We're then going to come up to our paragraph and line spacing, and this time we want 1.5. Notice there's a difference between 1.15 and 1.5. So we've just increased the line by 1.5. Let's now scroll down. We're going to place the insertion point in the heading, Animal Care Rajasthan. So let's come down here. So we place anywhere in there. I don't necessarily need to select it. Just by being clicked in that line, the setting will be applied. I want to now go to the Layout tab. And so let's come up here, select my Layout tab. Drag this up here so you can see that as well. So here's my Layout tab. I've activated that tab. And you can see in here that the paragraph space setting for the active paragraphs are shown. And there's a before and after text boxes. See, we see before and after, okay, right over here in spacing. So in this section here, we can click the up arrow spacing, and they want us to do that so that the after up arrow, so we want to find after up, and we click that until it's 6, and we see how we get an extra after the paragraph, we get an extra 6 points. We're now going to scroll down. We're going to place the insertion point into the Microloans Inca Highlands. Just click anywhere in there. And we're going to hit the F4 button. Now the F4 button, what that does is it repeats the very last action that you took. So in this case, the 6 points of spacing that was added after with the Microloans and Highlands heading. Okay, so it's not the same as using the Format Painter. F4 just repeats the last action. So if the last action was making a page break or bolding, it would do just that. let's go down and select the Disaster Relief Nepal. So I'll go ahead and select Disaster Relief Nepal. We're going to hold down our control button, and I wanted to select, oops, I'm making it smaller. Let me make this back up to where we were. So I selected Disaster Relief Nepal. I'm going to scroll down and then select Ecological Farming. So I have two things selected, and now I'm going to hit the F4 button, and you notice that it adds that spacing after the paragraph. Let's go ahead now and do a Control Home. I'm now at the top of my document. I'm going to place the insertion point in the October projects, not necessarily selecting it. This time I'm going to hit the before up arrow in my spacing section. I hit it once, and they want me to do it 2 times until it says 12 points. I'm now going to come back to my Home tab and then turn off that Show Hide button. Alright, so again, I'm going to completed that task. I'm now going to hit my Save button. Next, we are going to align paragraphs. Changing the paragraph alignment is another way for us to enhance a document's appearance. So what we're going to do now is we're going to replace the your name and today's date with your name, a comma, and then today's date. So let's go up top here where it says your name. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my name and today's date. And today's date is October. Notice as I type that in there, I'm going to go back there. This is the autocomplete, so I can hit the OK, and as soon as I hit the space bar to put in the number, it's asking me, do you want today's date? And you know what? I do, so I'm actually just going to hit the Enter key to allow that. So now we want to select our name, that entire line, and we're going to now up on the paragraph group, we're going to select the right align, and that moves that information and aligns on the right side of our page. We're going to now place the insertion point between our name and the comma, and we are going to hit the delete key because we want to remove the comma, and we're going to hit the Enter key because we now want them sitting on top of each other. We're going to select our 2-line title, which is The Reason to Go in October projects, and we're going to center this. So we're now going to move that to the center. We're going to scroll down. We're going to place our insertion point in Animal Care, Rajasthan heading, and they want us to center this. And then we're going to take the insertion point in our italicized paragraph under that title, and we're taking the insertion point in the italicized paragraph, which is right up here under our title, and they want us to justify this. So this is the justifying squares it out. It aligns it on both the left and the right. We're going to scroll down, place our insertion point now back into the Animal Care Rajasthan, and we're going to open up the paragraph launcher, okay, our dialog box here. And in here, in that alignment list arrow, we see it's set to center. We are actually going to put it back to left. All right, so they're just showing us another way that we can utilize these tools. Let's go ahead and save our changes. Now we're going to work with tabs, and tabs can be a little tricky. Tabs allow you to align your text in a specific location within a document, and we use tab stops, and tab stop is a point on the horizontal ruler that will indicate the location at which to align the text. By default, our tab stops are located every ½ inch from the left margin, but we can set custom tabs. So we're going to that's what we're going to do. We're going to set some custom tabs. So we're going to scroll down, and we're going to select the 5 lines right here, beginning with project. We're selecting those 5 lines, and then we're going to point to the tab indicator. Now, the tab indicator is located over here. If your ruler is not on, you're not going to see this. So if you need to turn your ruler on, you need to go to the View tab and in the show group, put a little tick mark in next to the ruler. All right, so if I uncheck it, you can see it disappears. When I click on it, it now appears. So here is where they're asking us to go over to the left tab indicator. And we're going to make a left tab at the 1 inch mark on our ruler. So I'm going to come over here on the 1 inch mark, and I'm just going to click one time on my horizontal ruler, and then I'm going to go over to the 3.5 inch mark and click again. Now I want to click on the tab indicator 2 times because I want to get a right tab. And so you notice that if I hover over it, it'll tell me that it's a right tab. And I want to put this now at the 5 inch mark. So I'm going to click over here at 5. So when I look at my ruler, I can see I have one at 1 inch, one at, oh, this should be at 3.5. All right, so here I'm actually going to click on this, and I'm going to drag it to 3.5. There we go. That's where that should be. And then we have one at 5 inches. So I'm now going to place the insertion point. So now I've applied it to just these 5 lines. Now I want to move the information on the tabs. So now I'm going to click next to the P, to the left of the P in project, and I'm going to hit the tab on my keyboard 1 time. And notice now it aligns with that first tab. I'm now going to move my cursor next to the D in dates, hit it 1 time. It now aligns with that second tab. I'm now going to hit cost and hit it 1 more time. And so I'm going to do the same for everything that's in my list. Now you can choose to do this any way you like. Whoops, I hit it 1 too many times. Here I'm just doing these line by line. So I'm clicking and then coming back up. Oops. All right, so we can see everything here is aligned on the left. Everything under dates is aligned on the left, and our cost is all aligned on the right. And that's based off of the type of tabs that we placed on the ruler. We're now going to select all 5 lines again. And we want to drag that right tab stop to 5.5. So I want to give it a little bit more room. So now I'm just dragging that over. So now I'm modifying it. So in order to adjust them, they all have to be selected. And we can now deselect. I want to select just the 4 lines now. I want to modify these 4 lines of tab text. So now I'm going to come up to the launcher in the paragraph group. So I need to come back to my home tab. And here's that paragraph dialog box launcher. I'm going to open that up, and notice at the bottom is a button called tabs. So I'm going to select that tabs button, and here we see our tabs. We have one at 1 inch, one at 3.5, and one at 5.5. They want us to set the 5.5 inch in our tab stop. So I need to select this one, and they want me to set this one with a number 2 leader. So I need to set that. I can't just say OK. I need to set it first, and then I need to say OK. And when I do that, I'm going to see now I have dots in between everything. And they actually want them between both of these. So I'm going to go on back and open that back up. So I'm going to open this here. I'm going to choose tabs, and I want to select my 3.5 inch and also set that to a number 2 leader. Say set. Say OK, and I now have these dots, which we call leaders, in between our tabs. I'm going to deselect, and I'm going to save those changes. Now we have to work with, we're working with the indenting. When we indent a paragraph, we move the edge from the left or the right margin, and we have these buttons or indent markers that are on our ruler, and they indicate the indent settings for the paragraph of where our insertion point is located. And so by dragging it to a new location on the ruler, that's one way of changing this. So we're going to play around with this tool. So we're going to do a Control Home, go to the top of my document. I want to take the insertion point in the italicized paragraph. So let me scroll this so you can see this better. I'm in the italicized paragraph under my title, and I'm going to click the Increase Indent button, which is in my paragraph group. So again, if I need help to locate that tool, I just hover. And that's the Increase Indent. So I notice that it moves that paragraph in. And then they say, okay, let's put it back. So we hit the decrease button. We're now going to drag that first line indent marker, and we want to move that to the 1/4 inch mark on a horizontal ruler. And if I go up to my ruler, there is that tool. So if I hover, you see that says first line. This one down here says hanging indent, and that one says left indent. So we want the first line indent marker here, and we're going to drag that to 1/4 inch, and we're just having it 1/4 inch on that marker. We're going to scroll to the bottom of page 1. We want to take the insertion point in the quotation. Up here's that. Here we take our insertion point in the quotation. We just click in there, and on my layout tab, I want to click my indent left text box in my paragraph group. Where am I at here? Click the no, that wants to go to the layout tab. So let me activate my layout tab. And here's the indent. So in the indent, instead of using the ruler here, we're using a ribbon, the layout ribbon, the layout tab, and the tools on the layout ribbon here. So in that left indent text box in my paragraph group here, we're going to select 0.5. So as I click in here, I could type it in, or I could use the spin box. We're now going to, in the right text box, I'll select this one this time and type in 0.5. So now we've indented this paragraph, this long quote, an inch. And if you look at my ruler, we can see how it changed for us. But we made those changes here rather than dragging using the tools. I'm going to do a Control Home. I'm going to take my insertion point in that paragraph again. Okay, so I'm in that italicized paragraph, and I want to open up that paragraph box, that paragraph launcher. And in that special lists arrow, right over here, see where it is indicated as first line? They want us to change this to none, because we don't want to actually put that in there. They just showed us how that we could do that if we wanted to. Alright, so that was playing around with our indents. I'm going to go ahead and save those changes. I now want to add some bullets and numbering. So I want to scroll until I see that heading for disaster relief for Nepal, right over here. Okay, and we see that there is a 3-line list of 3-day add-ons. Alright, so here, this is this add-on section. So we want to select the 3 lines right over here. We're going to select these 3 lines, and on my home tab, let's go back to my home tab. In my paragraph group, I want to select the numbering list arrow. And from this, we're not going to choose a style. We're actually going to take the default setting, which is 1, 2, and 3. We're now going to take the insertion point after the word Pokhara, Valley of Lakes. We're going to place it after here, and we're going to hit the Enter key, because now we're going to add another item to our list, and this is going to be the Temple of Janakpur. I want to click the number 1 in that list, and notice as I do that, it selects my numbers. We're going to come up and we just want to bold the numbers. We don't want to bold everything, we're just bolding the numbers in our list. We're going to select the list of items under the last minute participants in disaster relief Nepal. Alright, so there is a list of items under here. I'm going to go ahead and select that. And then I'm going to choose bullets. And notice I selected bullets, but they actually want me to choose a different option. They want me actually to use the check marks. So if I want to see the different options, I click the arrow to the right, and that gives me a little gallery of options that I can select from. I click anywhere in my document to deselect, and I'll go ahead and save. Next, we're going to add some borders and shading. Borders and shading, they add color and some pizzazz to our documents. Borders are lines that we add above, below, to the side, or even all around our word or paragraph. And we can format these with different line colors and styles and widths. And the shading is actually the color or the pattern that's actually behind the words. So let's go ahead and go to the top of our document. We're going to do a Control Home. And I want to scroll down until I find that tab list at the top of our screen. So we're going to work with we're going to go ahead and select these 5 lines. And with that selected, I want to go to the shading list arrow, which is that paint bucket in my paragraph group right here. And I want to go ahead and I want to apply a green accent 6 lighter 60%. So I know this is green, but I need to find the actual specification. They want a lighter 60%. So this is the color. With those 5 paragraphs selected, okay, they're calling these paragraphs, we want to drag that left indent marker, which is right up here. This is my left indent marker. Then we need to drag that to 3/4 of an inch. So that's bringing the shade of the box in. And then we're going to take the right indent marker and we want to move that to 5 3/4. So there is, that's 6, and there would be 5 3/4. Oh, and you know what? This is actually supposed to be at 3/4, not 1/4. There we go. Didn't look right when all said and done there. With those 5 paragraphs still selected, we're going to click on the bottom border list arrow. So we're going to click here. And we want to select outside borders. Again, with those selected, I haven't deselected yet. They want to show us that we can come back up and then say no border, and we've removed the border. Instead, they want us to come and select borders and shading, and this opens up all of our options that we have here. So from within here, we want to select a box border, the box icon, and we want the double line style. So when I look at my styles here, I'll scroll down until I see 2 lines, and there it is. In my color, I want a green accent 6, darker 25%, which I think is going to be further down the bottom. There it is. That's what I want the color of my box to be. And then I want the width of that to be 1.5 points. So I'll come down here and I will select 1.5 points. I'll say OK. And I can click anywhere now to deselect my text. So I put in a nice box and made my box smaller, and I put some shading and some borders on it. I'm still not done though. I actually now want to again select these 5 paragraphs. So go ahead, I selected all 5 of them. And in my font group now I want to bold that text. So I went ahead and bolded that. From my font color list, I want to change the color to a green accent 6, darker 20%. So again, I'll come over to here. I know where my greens again are located because I've been working with them. The color they want is a green accent 6, darker 25, and that is the correct color. Now I just want to change the color of project, dates, and cost. So I'm going to go ahead and select them. And they want me to open up the launcher, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the paragraph font group launcher. And from that font tab, I want to make this, if it's not active, I need to make it active. I want to make this 14. So I'll go ahead and select the size 14. From my color, I want this to be the orange accent 2, darker 25%. So let me come down here. There it is, darker 25%. And I want small caps. So I'm going to come over here in my effects and put a little check mark in there. And then I'm done. So I'm going to say OK. And then I can deselect that. The last thing we want to do is put in an online picture. All right. So your text calls it clip art, but we don't refer to it as clip art anymore. We refer to them as online pictures. So let's just scroll to the top of page 2. We're going to take the insertion point before the word microloan. So that's where my cursor should be blinking. And I'm going to go up to the Insert tab, and in the Illustrations group, right over here, we're going to select Online Pictures. And in here, we're going to select the word, they ask us to type in Inca. I don't know if we're going to find the exact image, but we'll certainly try. So INCA, I'll hit the Enter key. I'm going to scroll down my gallery, and let's see if we can find the same image that they have. It's actually this one right here. So I'll go ahead and select that and then say Insert. And we want to change it. We need to change the size of this. So notice as I activate this, I get my picture tools, and I get another tab up here, and this is called Format. Over here to the right hand side, I want to change the size of that. So I want my my height to be 1.8, and by adjusting the height to 1.8, it automatically adjusts my width. I now want to click the Position button, and that's going to be in the Arrange group. Here's my Arrange group, and here's my position. All right, I'm going to select my options here, and I want to position in middle center with a square text wrap, which is going to be this one right here. Position middle center with a square text wrap. And I want to scroll up until I see my heading is at the top of my screen, and it is. And I want to position my pointer over the graphic until my pointer changes to this. See how it changes to the 4 arrows. And I'm going to drag this graphic up to the right so the edge aligns with the right margin. So I'm just clicking and dragging, and I want to be able to see this. Now I want to use my markers. My markers are not popping up right now, which makes me believe that they're not on. Alright, so they might not be on. I'm going to take a little detour here. I'm going to stop and say View. I'm going to click on View tab, and I'm trying to remember how I turn these on. Might be under here. Let me see. Align. There we go. Use the alignment guides. It's actually right under my tools. So if I click on, there we go. See, that's what I was looking for. There. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Those guides to be turned on. So hopefully yours are on and you don't have to go ahead and do that. If you need to, under the picture tools, under the format, we went to align, and there we made sure there's a little check mark there. All right. So that's where we're placing our image. We can also click on our position button, and I can choose position top left with a square text wrapping. Position top left, and we see that it hops it over to here. If I want a shadow on this, all right, they ask us to put a shadow on this. Let's go to our picture effects, and under shadow, we're going to point to each style, and then we're going to select the offset. Notice there's a whole bunch in here. You hover over long enough. Offset left is what we're ultimately going to select. And it is an offset. So offset right, offset left. There we go. We're going to do a Control Home because we are now all done. We're going to look at our work. I'm going to go back up to View. I'll look at this on multiple pages, and we get to see everything that we did today. The very last thing that you want to do then is to go back into SAM and submit this file to be graded. All right. I hope this will be helpful to you in case we don't finish everything today, and will be a nice reference so that you can actually complete the assignment. All right.